Estonia is a country in northeastern Europe, the northernmost of the three Baltic states. Estonia's area includes some 1,500 islands and islets. The two largest of these islands, Saaremaa and Hiiumaa, are off mainland Estonia's west coast. Estonia has been dominated by foreign powers throughout much of its history. In 1940 it was incorporated into the USSR as one of its constituent republics. Estonia remained a Soviet republic until 1991, when, along with the other Baltic states, it declared its independence. The Soviet Union recognized independence for Estonia and the other Baltic states on September 6, 1991, and United Nations membership followed shortly thereafter. Estonia set about transforming its government into a parliamentary democracy and reorienting its economy toward market capitalism. It sought integration with Greater Europe and in 2004 joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and the European Union, EU. Estonia. Land. Estonia. Physical features map. Includes locator. An aerial view of Muuga Bay, near Tallinn, Estonia. Situated in northeastern Europe, Estonia juts out into the Baltic Sea, which surrounds the country to the north and west. To the east Estonia is bounded by Russia, predominantly by the Narva River and Lakes Peipus, Paisi, Russian, Chutskaya Ozero, Taiaploy, and Pskov, and to the south, it is bounded by Latvia. Relief and drainage. The Estonian landscape is largely the product of glacial activity. The south is covered with moraine hills, and the central part of the country abounds in elongated hills with flat tops. Northern Estonia is characterized by long narrow swells consisting of deposits left by glacial rivers that formed during the melting of ice. Extensive sandy areas mark what was once the glacier's edge. Estonia's relief is thus generally undulating, with small hills and numerous lakes, rivers, and forests lending a mild and picturesque aspect to the scene, particularly in the south. The mean elevation is 164 feet, 50 meters, above sea level. Only about 1/10 of the territory lies at elevations exceeding 300 feet, 90 meters. In the southeast is the Hanja upland, containing Suurem-Unamajai, Great Egg Hill, which, at 1,043 feet, 318 meters, is the highest point in Estonia. Estonia abounds in rivers, which flow to the Gulf of Finland, to the Gulf of Riga, and into Lake Peipus. The longest river, the Parnu, stretches for about 90 miles, 145 kilometers. Other important rivers are the Peja, Narva, and Kasari. The country's largest lake is Peipus, with a surface area of about 1,370 square miles, 3,550 square kilometers, which is shared with Russia. Lake Vorts is situated in south-central Estonia. Climate. The temperate and humid climate of Estonia differs sharply from the climates of regions to the east, in Russia, at the same latitude. The country lies in the path of air masses borne by cyclonic winds that originate in the North Atlantic Ocean and carry warm air in winter and cool air in summer. The northern and western coastal areas tend to be milder than the country's inland regions, while the eastern and southeastern regions tend to have a continental climate. The mean temperature is 17 to 23 degrees Fahrenheit, -8 to -5 degrees Celsius, in January and 61 to 63 degrees Fahrenheit, 16 to 17 degrees Celsius, in July. Annual precipitation is about 24 to 28 inches, 600 to 700 millimeters, which, coupled with negligible evaporation and low relief, leads to waterlogging. The Estonian climate is generally favorable for agriculture. Plant and animal life. Mixed forests, with about 90 native species of trees and shrubs, cover almost half of Estonia's territory. Most widespread are pines, firs, birches, and aspens. Less common are oaks, maples, elms, and ashes. Scots pine is the most common native tree. Meadows occupy a large area, as do marshes and swamps, where 1/4 of Estonia's 1,500 plant species are found. About 60 species of mammals live in Estonia. The largest of these is the elk, roe deer, red deer, and wild pigs also are found. In the deep forests of the northeast, bears and lynx are encountered. Foxes, badgers, otters, rabbits, hares, and, along the riverbanks, mink and nutria, koipu, are fairly common. Fish, cod, herring, salmon, eel, plaice, and others, are of commercial importance. Birds are numerous and migratory. More than 300 species have been identified, a few of which are year-round residents. With the restoration of the independent republic in 1991, Estonia made strides in improving the health of its environment. Air and water pollution have been reduced, and the percentage of forest lands has been enlarged. About 1/10 of the country is set aside as a nature preserve. People. Ethnic groups. Compared with other European countries, Estonia has a large percentage of foreign-born residents and their children. Only about 2/3 of the population are ethnic Estonians. Russians are the most significant minority, comprising about 1/4 of the citizenry. Prominent among other ethnic minorities are Ukrainians, Belarusians, and Finns. There are some regional linguistic and cultural differences among the ethnic Estonians. Notably, the Seto people in southeastern Estonia speak a distinct dialect of Estonian and are part of an Eastern Orthodox religious tradition. While the islanders of the Muhu archipelago in the west also have their own dialect and share a number of cultural affinities with the people of Scandinavia. Language. Estonian, the official language of the country, is a member of the Finno-Ugric branch of the Uralic language family. More than 2/3 of the populace speak Estonian as a first language, about an additional 1/4 speak Russian as their first language, mostly in the northeast, though few Estonians over age 60 or under age 20 speak the language. Economy. As part of the interrelated Soviet economy, Estonia was basically an industrial region, with agriculture making a smaller contribution. Industry and agriculture remain important components of the economy of independent Estonia, but their portion of the gross domestic product, GDP, and of the labor force has declined, while those of commerce and the service industry have grown. The Estonian economy experienced an initial downturn during its transition to a market economy, characterized by declining production, inflation, and unemployment, but by the mid-1990s it had rebounded, with some improvement across the decade following. Moreover, the Estonian economy has been cited as one of the most liberal in Europe. It has a balanced national budget, flat-rate income tax, and very few customs tariffs. Estonia was among the first Eastern and Central European countries with which the European Union, EU, started accession negotiations. It gained membership in 2004. Privatization of state-owned businesses was virtually complete by the beginning of the 21st century, though government controls remain over some energy and seaport activities. Resources and power. The country's most important mineral is oil shale, of which Estonia is a significant world producer. Reserves and production of peat also are substantial, and large deposits of high-quality phosphorites, limestone, dolomites, marl, and clay exist. Electric power generation has great significance both for the economy of Estonia and for the surrounding region. Estonia supplies much of the power requirements of Latvia and parts of northwestern Russia. Most of the electricity produced in the country is generated by thermal power plants fired with oil shale. Two of those plants, located near Narva, account for much of the electricity produced for the Baltic states. There is also another major power station, the peat-fired plant at Elama, as well as other smaller stations. Like the power industry, the large shale processing industry is a major employer in Estonia. It produces great quantities of fuel gas, much of which is transported to Russia by pipelines extending from Kohtla-Järve to St. Petersburg. There has been, however, growing concern about the environmental impact of both groundwater pollution from oil shale mining and sulfur dioxide emissions from the Narva power plants. Similarly, the phosphorite mining industry has become the focus of environmental concerns. Oil shale satisfies about 9/10 of Estonia's electrical needs, with alternative energy, peat, wood, and biomass, providing most of the remainder. Agriculture and forestry. During Estonia's tenure as a Soviet republic, its agriculture was collectivized. Instead of some 120,000 small peasant farms that existed in 1945, there were by the 1990s about 190 collectivized farms and more than 120 state farms. Decollectivization became a government goal in the post-Soviet period, and privatization proceeded quickly. Within the first year, Estonia had twice as many private farmers as either Latvia or Lithuania. Agriculture is the foundation of Estonia's significant food processing industry. Principal crops include potatoes, barley, and hay. Livestock farming, notably cattle and pigs, is also important. Timber and woodworking constitute one of the oldest industries of Estonia, and the country's wood products include paper, pulp, plywood, matches, and furniture. The main production centers are Tallinn, Tartu, Narva, Pärnu, Kera, Kuressaare, Kingisepp, and Viljandi. Thank you for watching.